All righty. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Are you doing good? I'm one of the people you need to interact with because then I get grouchy. So anyways, I'm going to jump right into it. I'm so glad he talked about value. Don't value one entity over the other. It's very, very important when you're a sales professional. And just the way that we're set up, once you see how much money can be made, then you will actually have that your ethics are actually going to manifest a little bit more. If you never get the opportunity, well, then you never know. But in solar and sales, and that's what I'm going to talk about really quickly, the commission potential. Okay, so the commission potential. Let me get a marker real quick. So we all know what it is to work 40 hours a week, right? So if you're online, get your calculators out. If you're here, get a calculator out really quick. I want to make this point uh, very, very clear. So if you're working 40 hours a week, right? It's 40 hours. That's a long time. 40 hours is a long, in my opinion, 40 hours is a long time. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you went 40 hours in 1 week. Times 4 weeks in 1 month, that's 160 hours. 160 hours you gave your life to a job, right? That technically 160 hours. That's about 1/3 of your, if there's 24 hours. Yeah. So 160 hours, you're basically making, let's just say, what is the average person making? In this area, we're probably making around $25 an hour, $30 an hour, 20 in your area. Let's use the number of $25 an hour. Okay, so $25 an hour. So it's 160 times $25 an hour. $4,000. All right, look at this. I want everybody to see this. You're $4,000. Okay, in 160 hours of your life, that's time away from your family, time away from your, maybe you want to go to school, but you can't because you're working 40 hours a week. And some people, that's the least that they work. To my understanding, to make a living nowadays, you got to work 40 to 60 hours a week to pay your mortgage payments that are $2,500 a month or more to a lot of people. So I want you to see this. So you're making $44,000 a month, and you're working 160 hours in a month. In solar, okay, I'm just going to get into it really, really quickly. One contract, you would most likely make on a normal transaction, an average size system, you're going to make $4,000. One single contract, you're going to make this. Okay, so he was talking about one of the client I was talking to yesterday. She called me and she had a quote already for $260 a month on a solar contract. Okay, and a lease option. I mean, I already knew right away that the guy who created this deal was he wanted to make all his money right in that one single contract. He probably estimated it around $10,000 to $15,000 of commission. Okay, in that contract. Now, in my mind, when I see that, I looked at her system, quality was down, price was up. The only way to get a low quality system on a high price like that is if that whole padding in between is profit, is commission. So what happened, it became very, very easy to me to bring that price down with a whole lot better system and still make my $4,000, because I'm not trying to crack a killing with every sale, right? I'm not trying to make $15,000 or $10,000. I have a goal and a budget in my mind on what I want to make per every contract that I sell. And I knew if I'm that greedy and I govern myself by rules, I'm going to win this contract. I already knew I was going to win it. I sold her on value, and I gave her a better system with the same price, and I sold it on value. So what did I do? I gave my customer, I took care of my customer. She got an excellent system. I took care of myself, and I did not have to tarnish the reputation of Solar Energy Plus in doing it. So every 3 component that he just talked about was taken care of. What am I going to make? $4,000. Do you know how long it took me on that call? It took me 40 minutes to make that. 40 minutes of just considering my customer over me, considering the company, and then making what I wanted to make. If 40 minutes phone call made me $4,000. Okay. I did not have to spend 160 hours to make this dollar amount. Does that sound, that's the potential of the sales industry, the solar sales industry.
But you said that the percentage is staying on.
Yes.
Well done with quality.
Not only that, they went from a lease to a purchase was better.
Oh,
So it was, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what happened. So it was a lease option. Okay, so leases are good. Now, when you see lease in any contract, and we can offer leases, but when you see a lease, what that means is there's no tax credit in a lease. 30% tax credit is no tax credit in a lease. Okay, so I knew that this person, by conversation, that she filed taxes. So if you know somebody that files taxes and you just took away 30% tax credit, that's not very good for the customer. And you gave her a high $260 bill. It's like, why would you take away her 30% tax credit if you know that she's filing taxes? So what I did was I left the payment the same, and I gave her a purchase contract, and I added value to it. How did I add value? Well, one of them was giving her 30% of the contract. 30% of the contract for this customer was about $15,000. When she files her taxes, she can claim that tax credit up to the $15,000 tax credit. So she thought, okay, well, with this one, I'm getting $260 a month. I'm not getting a solar tax credit, and I'm getting less of a production. Why would I not spend $260, get my tax credit, get a better production, and get a solar battery in it? It just didn't make sense to the client. Why would she go with this company? It just didn't make sense to her. So it was an easy sale for me, right?
mm-hmm.
So basically what I'm trying to say is there's the sales commission, the potential in making quite a bit of money is there. Do you see that online? Do you see how that's there? There's just an amazing amount of potential. If for anything, I don't like, now this is terrible how I'm doing this here, but I don't like spending 160 60 hours to make $4,000. To me, it's just not worth that much time. But if I can put into this company, if I can put into my sales right now, you're investing into yourselves. You're investing, you're using some of your hours to learn right now. Right? So calculate your training hours. You can't skip out on your training. You got to calculate that. Why? Because you're putting value into you that then comes out in your sale. Having the knowledge and the understanding of what you're selling is value to the customer. That's value right there. You're not always gonna beat somebody on price. Okay, that's what he was talking about. Let's not race to the bottom. You know, well, I'll beat you. I'll come down to 240. I'll come down to 200. I'll come down to 150. Oh, I'll pay you to go solar. There's only so far you can go down. So what you're wanting to instill in your customers is value. And whatever you make at the end, we should be consider and be satisfied with that. You know why? Because we didn't have to work 160 hours for that. Does that make sense? We are working, you know, the average solar rep is working less than 20 hours a week. Now, I don't encourage that. If you are a full-time sales rep, at least a minimum of 20 hours a week, whether you're social media marketing, campaigning for on your phone, door knocking, cold calling, whatever it is, give yourself an amount of hours every single week to put into it. You're probably never going to reach this 160-hour mark. If you did, I can guarantee you that's probably going to be at least $30,000 a month in solar sales. If you put that much time into it, I can guarantee you it'll be $30,000 a month. Okay, because it's just, that's the potential of it.
The 15K, is that will go into they'll receive that 15,000? Or?
Yeah, so let me explain really quickly. It's 30% is the federal tax credit of the purchase amount. So if their solar system is $30,000, then it's 30% of that is their tax credit. Now their tax credit, now this is if they file taxes. So you want to make sure in conversating with when you're adding value to the sale, you want to ask them, do you file taxes? That's what I asked her. Do you file your taxes? Oh yeah, I file. So I knew automatically this was going to entice her. This was going to add value to her. Now, if there's people that are 1099s and they don't file their taxes, or they're, fixed income or Social Security, something like that, they don't file taxes, then this one won't add value to them. So selling this part out is not going to be valuable to them. But to most people, it's going to be valuable. So it's 30% of whatever the contract price is. So if their system is $60,000, $70,000, it's just 30% of what it is. Now, if they file taxes and they only, the way the tax works is you get back whatever you put in. Okay. So for example, if you working an hourly job and you filed federal taxes and you paid into the federal taxes, let's say $15,000, your job took all your deductions out and it added up to $15,000 that next tax season. If it's $15,000 and the tax credit on your solar loan was $15,000, you will get that $15,000 returned in cash. It will wash out what you owe the federal government. Okay. Now let's say you put $25,000 into your taxes. If you put $25,000 into your taxes and your tax credit was $15,000, then of course, then you would get $15,000 back. See what I'm saying? You would still get 15 of the 25. So you won't get the whole 25. You'll get just 15 still for the tax credit.
So if there's some agent with the solar panels on and they buy them, it's not like they could choose to get those 15,000 right there, right?
No, they have to wait till tax season because it's a tax credit. So when they file their taxes, they will get it. Now, let's say they don't put a lot of taxes into it. Okay. And let's say they only put in, let's say they put in $15,000 to their tax credit, into their taxes because of their job. So let's say their tax liability was $15,000 and their tax credit, because their system was large, was $20,000. Okay, they are not going to give you more than what you put in. Okay, so you will still get the $15,000 back, and that remaining $5,000, right? Because your system was larger, that remaining $5,000 will roll over to the next year. Okay, it can only roll over 5 to 5 years. It'll roll over 5 years to bleed it all out. So it is a guaranteed that the tax credit. the 30% tax credit. Does anybody have any questions on the tax credit? You want me to raise the volume a little bit? Or anyway. So anyone have any questions on the tax credit? We're all good on that? Okay, cool. We're gonna move on from the tax credit. If nobody has any questions, if you do, you can just send a text and I can get that, answer that for you. All right, so you see the potential and commissions, right? Everybody sees that potential and commissions. There's a lot. Now, what is the average solar sales rep? Their average putting on 2 to 5 contracts. That's an average sales rep is 2 to 5 contracts a month. So that means they're spending at least 5 to 10 hours, maybe 15 hours a week, part-time job for 2 to 5 contracts a month. So if you just did the bottom, the bare minimum of 2 contracts a month, what's your income?
Can you do an example like a 7 kilowatt system?
Yeah. Okay, so the average system, okay, let me do it like this. The average system is an 8 kilowatt system. Okay, and we'll go over into detail what 8 kilowatt means, but a general size on an average home, single story, even a 2-story, 2,000, 1,800 square foot home, you're probably going to have an 8 kilowatt system. An 8 kilowatt system is going to give you roughly, at least it's a $4,000 mark. I use that $4,000 because it's the average of what you make per contract. Can you make more? Absolutely. You can make up to 7,000 if you want. Okay. And I'll show everyone sales reps based on numbers and financing and all of that. And what he had already talked about are red lines. And I'll explain to you what that is in a minute, how low our red lines are, that it makes that possible for you to fluctuate what you're making. Okay. So on an 8 kilowatt system, you're probably going to make, as a matter of fact, you're going to make more. I've got an 8 kilowatts, an 8 kilowatt system, and the commission was 5,200. Just by the way that we put it together. It was $5,200 on an 8 kilowatt. So I'm only using 4,000 just to be on a safe number. And now it's not because that we are necessarily charging the customer. We're not passing all the debt on to the customer. It's because the red line drops. Okay, so for example, let me show you. We'll get into the red line real quick. The installers, all right, so here's our partnerships. Here's your installer guy, right? To install a system, the installation company, the guys on the roof, the electricians, all of those, they're licensed electricians that go up on the roof. They're licensed electricians. Everyone's licensed that touches the solar system on all of our installs. Those guys got to be paid their labor costs. And then there's equipment costs. Now, in equipment costs, of course, you're putting all of this stuff together, wiring, conduit, inverters, batteries nowadays. When I created the contract, okay, with the installer, so the installer calculated the equipment, and they calculated their labor, and then they calculated their liability, okay? So the installer is saying, I need this much amount of money. I need $2, and I believe it was 55 cents. $2.55, okay? So this is what the installer is saying. I need $2.55 for the equipment, for the labor, and for the liability. This is the bottom dollar of what the installer is saying that they need per kilowatt. So if it's an average system of 8 kilowatt, right? So you're gonna take this and you're gonna times 8 kilowatts. Okay, you're gonna times that. So let me do the math for you really, really quickly. If I'm going too fast, please stop me, or raise your hand or something like that.
20,400, is that right?
No, that's correct. 255 times 8,000 is $20,000, 20,400. Okay, that's $20,400. Okay, on an average system. Now, this is your base cost. Now, if you're saying, now this is not including financing, this is cash price right here. Because there is a dealer fee when it's cash price, this is what they would pay. 255 times 8. Now, that doesn't include your commission yet. So the installer is telling me anything above 255 is profit. Okay, anything above 255. The average sale of a solar installation is $3.50. Okay, that's the average. So everyone that is selling solar right now, every single company,
That's on the low side, isn't it?
and this is the low side. This is low. Some companies allow their sales reps to sell at $7. Yeah. Now, either that company, most companies don't have this lowest red line. There's another, this is what's called the red line. The base cost is called your red line, RL, your red line. Okay. Most companies will be around $2.80. One other guy was trying to offer me a $3 red line. The higher the red line, the less for your sales reps. Because then the profit starts squeezing up. Does that make sense?
Or you have to sell it expensive.
Or you have to sell it very expensive. Okay, so let me explain that again. So I might have missed something. So this is the average, this is the low end of what you can sell a solar system for is $3.50. Okay. Most people, I know an individual never sells it under $4. He's at $4.25. That's what he sells his system for. So if you're getting a $4.25, if you're selling a system on $4.25, you have to sell the 8 kilowatts. So it's $4.25 times an 8 kilowatt system. That is 34. Sorry, I'm way down here, guys. Is $34,000. Okay, you have that napkin again? Oh, there it is.
Now, can you write the straight line with $3 down?
I guess I should write straight lines. Let me try that again. 20,400. All right, so 20,000.
You can't write on that.
20,000 still wet up there. $400. And what was the other one was? 30,000. I'll just do them. Oh, 34,000. And the other one was 34,000. $2.55 red line. And the other one was $4.25 red line. Okay, check this out, guys. Here, let me bring this closer. Okay, I hope you can actually see better. Okay, so we've got a 20,000 for, this is the same system, the same kilowatt system. Okay, same family, same system. $20,400 and with a red line of 255. The same system is 34,000. That's $14,000 higher because they sold it at 425. Okay. So what does this mean? This one right here, if I sold this system, system number 1, if I had the red line at 255 and I sold it for the average of $3.50. Okay. So basically what I'm doing, I sold it for $1 more than the red line. So 95 cents more. So you're going to take your 95 cents times 8,000. Correct. I'm messing up here. Times 8,000. Here's the commission for this. Okay. It's $7,600. Okay.
If you sell it at $3.
If you sell it at $3.50. This is what you're gonna win it on, $3.50. You're gonna be, you added commissions, everything is paid for, liabilities, warranties are there, good liabilities, good warranties. All of the value is in this system. You're making a good amount, 90 cents right here, and your commission off of the same kilowatt is $7,600. Okay, that's modest sales. That's modest right there. Now let's look at this other guy. All right, he's selling the same system for $4.20, 25 cents. You know why this guy has to go so high? And most of the time, why they're so high? Because their red lines are higher. Their red lines are around $3, right? If the red line goes higher, then the price has to go higher. So that's why sometimes systems, they're more expensive. So what is it? What does this price is the sales rep out of the market. That means the customer is saying, that's way too expensive. Let's do the math on this one. Let's do it. So $4.25, his red line is $3. All right. So that's $1.25 times the same size system, 8,000. That's $10,000 commission. All right. So this guy's getting more money, but look what the customer doesn't see the commission. The customer is only seeing what they get paid for. The customer is saying, you're $34,000. This other guy was only $20,000. Your monthly payment is $320. This other guy's monthly payment is $250. Who's your customer going to go with? Yeah. It's all day long. The customer's going to go there. And it's not because you're giving them.
So the 350 and 350, giving the 7,600 in commission, the client would pay $28,000 for their system.
Oh, okay. This is a 255 red light.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so it'll be cheaper still than this guy over here who's making this. And now what happens when most of the time when a sales rep is priced out of the market? This is what's called priced out of the market. Okay. What that means is his commission is too high. He needs to bring it lower. But really, what's the problem? The red line. The real problem is the red line. That means that the installer is trying to get too much money. The installer wants to pay for their equipment, their liabilities, and their labor, and then they want to make more money off of the sale. So the problem isn't so much over here, and it is. Sometimes it does get over here as well. The sales rep wants to make too much money off of one sale, but sometimes the red lines are just too high. And so I brought this point up because I wanted you guys to see our red lines are low. You can sell the system at $3.50 all day long. And
what kind of commission, Isabel?
Oh, because if his red lines are $3, right? Mm-hmm. And he sold the system at $4.25. Okay. Yeah. If he sold an 8-kilowatt system for $4.25, so you take your $4.25 and you times it by the system size.
So yeah, but the 10,000 is that difference. The red line is $3. So $1.25 times 8,000 is $10,000.
Is it confusing? Okay, somebody's got their hand up.
I do.
Maybe if you can open so they can talk.
Let me see if we get.
Recording in progress.
Did somebody have a question?
I do.
Okay.
So if you sell the system like that 8 kilowatt system for 325, are you gonna make more than 4,000 bucks?
If you sold it, so you take your red line, 255. And you said you want to sell it at 325?
Yeah, 325.
Okay, so you could. Three,
70 cents per kilowatt.
so you're selling it at 70 cents per kilowatt. So you go 70 cents times an 8 kilowatt system. Your commission would be $5,600. Still. $5,000? How many hours did you work? Over 160? Not a 10.
Okay, so I have another question.
Sure.
Now, this system that I said about the 325, now that includes batteries and inverters and everything though, right? Is that correct?
It just depends on how you set it up. Let's see, with the lady yesterday, I sold it on 310. I don't know, that's how it's gonna sound when I'm talking. I sold it on 310. My commission was 4,000 and it had a 10,000 battery on it. It had a battery. Yeah, it had a 10 kilowatt battery system in it. And it had this 11,000 production. So it was a good system.
Okay, so at least
11,000.
at least this way you guys you don't they don't get a true bill, right? Is that what the main goal is though too?
I can't hear him again. Go ahead, say that again.
I said, does that mean that because you said you always want to do good by the customer, right? And you want it because of the reputation of the company, everything. That way they don't get a true bill. They're not calling you later, say, hey, you lied to me. I got a bill. Now I got a bill plus the system. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'm explaining that right now. So
It's echoing.
the volume, I think.
It's echoing, Adam.
Here's what I'm gonna do.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get out and go back in. So
All right, they can hear me from here. Are you there, guys?
Yeah.
1 second. Should pop up.
Maybe I should just push it back or something. Okay, so your question was, it would include, every sale has to, the true up and okay. So the true, depending on what, like, for example, right now, if I went to install the women that I talked to yesterday, if I had it installed in the winter, it'll project how likely she'll get a true up bill because it's winter time.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first year, they may get a true up bill no matter what. Okay, now, is that true up bill going to be substantial? Is it going to be 1,000 or I don't know? If you create, every system needs to be created at 100% offset. Now, this is where you get the liberty to anything above 255, you can price it whatever you want. Whatever you want to sell it for above the 255. Okay, so if you're saying this person uses so much energy, first of all, somebody who uses so much energy, their bill is going to be around $300. I mean, right? Isn't that the average bill nowadays? More, right? Yeah, 500. As a matter of fact, the lady yesterday, her bill was $500. So,
Did you guarantee her that her bill was gonna be 260 or what?
you can always guarantee them because they're loans. So those are not, they're fixed payments.
That's how they sign.
Until they sign, great point. Until they sign, it's fixed. So if they sign, if they're interested for about 2 weeks, I had a customer took several and it raised 3 times on them. The rates. So we're not in control of the finance companies. So once you get a customer, you give them it, you tell them, okay, this is good for 5 days. That's all, 3 days, I can guarantee you this is gonna be here, but the fluctuation of the interest rates is out of our control. So
Right now, where are you getting it from? Where?
this is our red line. I negotiated this red line with the installer.
Oh,
That's why ours could be this low. Yeah. So, their average bill, and that goes back to that graph that Adam made about showing their payments. Okay, so you're setting them up. You got to set them up from the beginning. So you take that graph, right? You know what I'm talking about? That Excel spreadsheet where you put their number in. You ask them, what is your bill? Okay, it's $300. Okay, $300 times a year times 12, right? So $300. I'm not very good at math on the top of my head, guys. 3,600 a year. So they're paying $3,600 a year. Okay. So you got to create a system that's not going to be more than their bill. And I guarantee you a solar system's not going to be more than their bill unless they want extra batteries or something like that. So you got $300 to start off with. So you got to put in your mind that as a sales rep, okay, I gotta create a solar system that's less than this $300, gives them 100% production with at least a 10 kilowatt battery. That's got to be the first thing in your mind. So when you go to the drawing board and you do the proposal, this, you got to make sure it's less than this and definitely less than this. Okay. Now, if you could do that from the beginning, which you will, you're already.
but most of the time, it's just like 3 times out of the year that I notice on my bill that it's like 600.
Right.
My daughter too.
So what happens is you gotta use this number. Because regardless if this fluctuates, you're still paying this yearly. And this is where the breakdown is with a lot of people in PG&E, who I had another customer, the same thing. She was stuck on her monthly payments for PG&E. She didn't realize that you're paying almost $4,000 a year. And you take the $4,000 a year times 25 years, that's $100,000. And that's without any rate increases. PG&E does rate increases no less than 4 times a year. Okay. This is without any increases. That customer of yours, family member, friend, whatever it is, they're going to pay $100,000 over 25 years. So now, we talked about this the last time, you use your graph and you can come out with these numbers. They'll probably be way more than that because it actually calculates the percent increases, the average percent increases for PG&E. Now, if you generated the same design, same kilowatt system in the solar, you're going to spend a lot less than $100,000 over 25 years. You're going to, you see what I'm saying? So you want to take them to see this number. This is the reality, what they're going to pay for PG&E and more. It's probably double that. And there's a solar system is going to be way cheaper than that. And it's going to be fixed. So it's a win-win in any way you look at it. So the question was, does that include the battery? Does that include, not only is this system a $100,000 system, okay, not only is that going to include a battery, a 10 kilowatt battery, that's going to do 100% offset. The warranties that we have are compared to none. Most warranties are 10-year warranties on the inverter. Okay, so here's the average. 10-year on the inverter. 25-year manufactured warranty. Okay, we are 25-year inverter, 25-year manufactured warranty, and we also added workmanship warranty of 25 years. We added all of this extra. That's on the purchase, right? It just doesn't, I mean, we added that value into it. And so the question is, when do they call the manufacturer? When do they call us back? They can call the installer directly and say, or to get a technician out to go inspect their systems and things like that. They can do that as well. But if they're not getting, that's what the workmanship warranty is, the service call. A lot of the companies will say it's $350 to come out and service to look at it, right? You get those calls. I've been where it's $99 to come and look at it. That's that 25-year workmanship warranty that we included in there. Well, they're gonna pay for the system, but
Yeah, but not extra,
no, they're not gonna have extra. And if they need to re-roof, let's just say the roof, now let's talk roof, okay? Let's say the roof was 10 years old when you put the system on it. Well, they obviously have about 20 years, 20 years left? Included in this warranty is one free re-roof. So they will go out to the house, they'll have electricians take the system off, wait for the roof to be done, and put the system back on, no charge to the customer, one time.
To remove the panel and put them back.
To
Not
re-
put them-
No, that's the roof itself is separate. This is a redo, take the panels off and take it,
Love, I think there was one thing that Juan had asked a question,
okay?
if the $2.55 included the cost of the equipment, it doesn't.
Yeah, $2.55.
Is
Oh,
it?
no, you're right,
No. Yeah, so that's the cost of the install cost.
Yeah, so there is a $2.55. The installer will have certain equipment that's included in it, like Longi panels, 365 watts. Those panels are in surplus, so they don't they want you to use those panels, so they don't add any panels to the cost. Now, if you're gonna use rec panels or different panels, then there are costs to certain panels that are not in quantity. That's kind of the way that it is. Less, the price goes higher.
But the strong point about a low red line is that we're starting already below everybody else, because everybody has their equipment costs on top of
Yes,
the,
they do.
on top of the install cost. So we're starting at a lower, automatically a lower cost than everybody.
Yeah. So even if, I like to use certain panels on my designs. And so I add a little bit of cost. So mine goes up because the panel cost. I like to create for my customers a really nice system. So I don't mind the red line going up because we started off so low. Let's take, for example, okay, so there's a customer, he has, I think it was 10,000 kilowatts, 10,000 annual kilowatts. So his system was an 8 kilowatt system. We added a battery to it, and we added a backup battery, a backup system. Okay. You don't have to add a backup during blackouts. You don't have to add that. It's a $5,000 charge. So I gave him an 8 kilowatt system, a 10 kilowatt battery, and I threw in for my customer a backup. It's called BUI, backup interface. That's a $5,000 charge.
What is that?
When there's a blackout, if you have customers that have medical equipment that during blackouts they need to have them. If you have customers that are on well, that they're on the water well, and because the water well needs water, it needs electricity. So during a blackout, they won't have no water.
But where is that system that,
That's the backup system. It's a backup interface. So when the power goes out, the system will go off as well. The PG&E will turn off the system. They will turn off everything. In a blackout, everything goes out.
Even if you have solar panels.
Even if you have solar panels, even if you have a battery.
what is that? BUI?
Backup interface.
But is it a device?
It's a device.
And that will work when they turn it off?
Yes,
And did you need to turn that off?
correct. The
Okay.
reason why, when you have a panels and they're, powering up the house, there's that net metering thing, right? So the net metering thing is sending power back to PG&E. So without that backup interface, you're having power that is doing this towards PG&E. Back and forth, back and forth. At night, you're buying from PG&E. During the day, you're sending power back. Because of that access that way, when there's a blackout, PG&E wants no power going through the power lines. So that's why they'll shut your system off. But the backup interface it stops it. It stops your power from going to PG&E, and it'll send power back to your house to power up during and that's a $5,000 charge. So I actually, because our red lines are lower, I don't mind adding that $5,000 there. You know, you do what's good for your customer.
Do we have a chart of what it costs, everything costs?
Yes, I'll send you the chart on what everything costs and your batteries. So there's that. So,
Can you also explain that, because a big part of it is, dealer fees?
okay, dealer
Yeah.
fees. I'm glad you reminded me about that.
And the reason for that is because that's a big part why solar systems, there's a big difference between cash price and finance fees. Finance system.
Okay, so the dealer fees changes the whole entire world. As a matter of fact, it's a crazy world. So you have your cash price, right? $2.50. We talked about that.
That's before commission.
Before commissions, anything above the $2.55, you add it as your commission. So just know that if I sell a system, anything above $2.55 is all you know, commissions outside of course, the $500 that he talked about earlier. The cost to do the business. But so there's that. Now, if the customer is going to get a financing, if they need financing, okay, if they need financing, there's a cost to finance, no matter what industry it is. So it's not specific to solar. So if a customer, of course, now our customers go down to we have 600 credit scores they could apply for. So we've got loans that are up down to 600 credit scores. If you go to 650 or higher, then of course you're going to get better, you know, other options open. Okay, so there's two financial worlds. Okay, so you're going to have your credit unions. Might as well dig into this real quick. Credit unions, and then you're going to have your solar lenders. Okay, solar lenders, when we use these, they are very, you know, they go down to 600 credit scores. The lowest rate in the solar lender world is 3.99 interest rate. That's the lowest. Okay, the lowest rate, and then it starts going up to 4.49, 4.99, 5, you know, 5.49, and it just goes up. Okay, now here's the thing about solar lending. The 3.99 starts off at 37% dealer fee.
Tagged on to the price.
Tagged on to the price. Okay, did that knock your socks off? Okay, that's just what it is, tagged on to the price. Now, 4.49 drops to 34%. Okay, 4.99 drops to 32%, something like that, or 31%. 5, and then it starts substantially dropping. Okay, so the higher the interest rate, the lower the dealer fee. Okay, now, do customers see all of this? They don't see it. Customers do not see the back end. Customers only want to see, what do we only want to see? The payment. That's all that they want, is the monthly. Okay. If you're on your dashboard, we'll get you logins and all of that. But when you're on your dashboard and you click the 3.99, it's not gonna show you what the dealer fee is, but it's gonna reflect in the payment for the customer. The reason why the proposal does that, because it masks the dealer fees. You know them, but your customers do not know them. Okay, so only that's gonna change is their monthly payments. Okay, and every click that you do different, it'll change their monthly payments. So obviously the monthly payment, if you go higher in interest, you have lower dealer fees, but what goes higher? Your monthly payment goes higher, right? So that's another reason why low red lines is so important. Because you can adjust this type of pricing and it'll adjust your commissions and give the customer what they want. And you still make what you want. Okay. So if they're really, really stuck on monthly, this is what I do. If I got a customer, they want 260. They don't want their payment over 250. What do I sell? Value. Okay. It's 280 a month. You're going to be paying, 100,000 for the system. And even if it's 280, if you times it by 280, the total system cost does show up on the proposal for the customer. The total system cost, this is a side note, the total system cost will be showed to the customer. So they are going to see their system $52,000. Like my customer the other day, she saw the $52,000. I already warned her. I already sold value. I already gave her a monthly payment. Did I tell her the dealer fees? No way, right? I already gave her the monthly. I already sold value, and I already know how much money I was going to make. So when I sold her 280, I'm talking to her about 270, 280, around there, and she saw this number. She only saw value. It's like, oh, okay, that doesn't sound, that's probably, probably one of my best investments that I'm making. Because with PG&E, I'm paying 100,000. You got to already get all this out to there. Because if you don't sell it, right? If you don't sell value and you don't sell warranties, and then they see 52,000, they're going to be like, no way. I'm not paying $52,000. That's crazy. They don't realize, because maybe we haven't told them yet, you're paying double to PG&E over the same amount of time. Right? Does this make sense? So you got to set up how you're going to present this to your customers. Most of the customer just wants to see, what does it cost to go solar? What does it cost to go solar? What does it cost to go solar? And here's a sales rep that goes over there and says $52,000. They're like, ugh, I don't want to, I'm not going to pay that. Okay. You can't really show them numbers first. Okay. So you don't want to show them proposal first. Okay. You want to sell value. You want to sell the battery, the value of the battery, the securities of the battery. We had one of our sales reps in the dark a couple of weeks ago. Blackout. I was in a blackout a couple of weeks ago. It's horrible. You go more than 2 hours in a blackout, you're grouchy, especially for us. There's no running water, or anything like that. But when you look at $52,000 with the backup system, oh, I'm okay. That now my ears are open now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay, so there's that. So back to this portion here. So the lower the interest rate, the higher the dealer fees. Are these going down? I am always shopping. As a matter of fact, that's what I was doing last week. I'm shopping to make connections with solar lenders that have lower dealer fees. Okay.
I have a question, Isabel.
I also sent out so many emails to try and make these connections to lower these dealer fees down. And as soon as they're available, we will pass that on.
I have a question.
And then there's credit unions. Now, credit unions have very minimal dealer fees. Let's go to credit unions real quick. Okay, so let me erase this. Credit union dealer fees are close to nothing. Okay, so they're probably around, I believe they're 2 to 12% dealer fees. So it's a huge slash to the dealer fees. We've got a lot of credit union connections that the sales reps could use. Now here's whether you think it's a downfall or not. Credit union solar loans are non-transferable loans. Okay, so they have to be paid off. So let's just take the $52,000 that we saw over there And let's add the 27% dealer fee to the 52,000. Let's see what, let's add 30% to it. So we're gonna take 52,000 and add 30% dealer fees. So it's gonna add $15,600. Plus $15,600. Okay, so that system with a solar, traditional solar lender is gonna cost $67,600 with the dealer fees included, okay? Right? Now, if you go to the credit union and only use that, typically they're not even very many dealer fees. I think I had one that was a 9% dealer fee on there. If you go to a credit union and you use a 9% dealer fee, so 52,000, a 9% dealer fee, it only adds 4,600. So if I take 52,000 plus the dealer fee from the credit union, it's 56,680 dollars. Almost a $10,000 difference from you. That's a huge difference on the monthly payment. It's a huge difference on the monthly. It's the difference on your commission. Okay. You can swing this over, the savings over wherever you want to swing it over. You want to pass the savings on to the monthly, or you want to pass the savings on and add more commission. You can swing it over by dealer fees. Okay, so that's the impact of the dealer fees. So that's why I typically say if you're around $4,000, you're going to have a good dealer fee. You know, well, none of the dealer fees are good, but you have a chance to meet their expectations on the monthly payment if you stick around $4,000 to $6,000 per contract. Does that make sense? Questions?
Yes, I got a question.
Okay, no
I have
questions?
I have a lot of questions.
Now, again, the credit unions are non-transferable, but it's $56,000. So what the credit union is saying, they're saying that the price is so much more less that the customer will have to pay it off with the sale of the property. Okay, so let's say that the customer, this is also not even including the tax credit. And you gotta, if the tax credit, you pay this down with a 30%, and the tax credit is 30% of that. So 56 times 30%, 17,000. So if they use their tax credit to pay down the system, 7 is 9. Their system is now $39,000. And their monthly payment will be very low. Okay, does that make sense? Now, at the time of the tax credit, when somebody gets $17,000, what do?
Spend it.
They go to Hawaii. Okay, they go and have a good time. They don't bring it, they don't pay down their tax credit. They could put anything down that they want. If they wanted to put 5,000, 10,000, whatever, on month 18. But so technically, so I like to make sure that I always use the higher number. I don't ever use the low number. So it's $56,000 on there. Okay, so all you need to know about using the credit unions is it's non-transferable. The traditional solar lending is transferable. That means another person, the buyer, could come in and start taking over the payments and take it. Now, there's value still here using the credit unions, because if a new buyer comes in and you're saying, I'm going to pay off the system with the sale of the property, so the new buyer doesn't have an electricity bill. The system is still producing. It still has the backup battery system. Now you're selling the value to the new buyer. You're saying, hey, buy the house. You don't have electric bill. You don't have to worry about rate increases. You don't have to worry about the blackouts. You want to make sure that the value is added into those credit union solar systems. Okay, do you see how the value just went to the buyer? I mean, if I moved into a house and knew that I wasn't going to have an electric bill that was $300 or $400 a month, I'd be happy. So go ahead, Juan.
Okay, so I got a few questions. One of them is, you were saying, okay, let's just say, you're doing a solar, a system
I
for
know.
270, for 300. Okay,
Oh, right here. 1 second. No, go ahead.
Okay, Juan, can you,
I can hear you guys.
are you unmuted, Juan? You're
Yes,
unmuted and everything. Why can't I hear him?
I don't know, but I'm unmuted.
You want me to do this again?
Yeah.
Recording in progress.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, if you're presenting and you show you bring in the payment and you show them everything with financing or before financing, because like you said, again, if their payment's $300 on the system, and then they finance it and then it comes out to 355.
We only show the finance.
Yeah. You only show the finance.
Okay, you only show finance.
Yeah, you show the number with the finance already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for example, yesterday, her bill was already 260, so I created the system with the financing to still match the 260. For the other guy, I just sold it on value. So then she said, well, 260 is more, there's more value to the 260. But that had already included the finance fees in there. You always want to include everything already when you show them. You just don't tell them what the dealer fees are.
Okay, so and here's the one. I mean, because I sold cars for a long time. Okay? So
ahead.
how how you and Adam know me for a long time, and you know that I used to sell cars, right?
Yes.
And so the one thing I learned a lot too when you're presenting the numbers and stuff like that is the words that you use. So, for example, like you were saying, hey, this is a $57,000 system, and then you show them that with PG&E, before any pay increases or any rate increases, it's 100,000, correct?
Correct.
So I mean, for me, used to being able to sell cars, I would always tell them, look, you're paying, you make it sound, you put a little drama into it. You say like, I go, but okay, so remember, before we continue, I'm gonna tell you something. You're gonna pay way over, about $100,000. That's a lot of money. But with this system, after you sold the system, they're sold, they want to do it, and then we see and you show them, yeah, but it's only 57,000. So you make our system look inexpensive, and you make PG look very expensive.
Oh, absolutely. And they are very expensive.
Yeah, so it's just the words that you want to use though too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you want the PG&E. You want to exaggerate the PG&E, and then you want to say, man, this is only 80,000 for your solar system.
Mm-hmm. And it's not that we're selling something that's bad a thing.
Yeah.
Because it's worth it, it adds value, all this other stuff. So long as you're not embellishing or lying, I would get your facial expressions involved in everything. I mean, really, So if we don't have anything more on that, I know there's a lot to cover. I'm gonna do individual video training and break it down, all these pieces down. We've been here for a while, and I don't want to take too much more of your time. So I won't take, there's a lot more to cover that I won't get to cover. So, but please get to our YouTube videos, watch those videos. And the last thing I want to get to before we leave out here, what do you need? What do you need right now that I can give you to start talking to customers, and getting out there and just pulling one in this next month.
First time to, I have the bill for my daughter.
Okay, so we will go over that bill, and as a matter of fact, we should probably record that when we're going over the bill right now, and we'll put it on YouTube for a training as well. Anybody online, what else? We will go over bill training. But truly, all you need to know about that is this. You look at their bill, page 3, page 4, we'll talk about their kilowatts a day. It'll just say KW in a day. Put 2 minutes, 3 minutes on the bill real quick. So you guys can get out there and look at somebody's bill, and you will know. So if they're using, the bill will show you, it'll say this, it'll say 20.5 KW day. Okay, 20.5.
Do that on.
It's typically gonna be your 3, your page 4, or your page 5. Depends on which utility company you use. But this is what it's gonna say on average daily usage. Okay, and that averages out the whole year, the daily usage year. You take that times 20.5 kilowatts a day, you times it by 30, because it's 30 days in a month. I need a calculator. 20.5 times 30 is 615. That's kilowatts a month. Now you gotta times it by 12 to get the year. It's 7,380. Okay, what system size is this gonna be? It's gonna be an 8 kilowatt system. Right? 7,000, I mean, to be entirely precise, I would say 7.4 kilowatt system. You want to make it 8 though, when it's that. If it's gonna be a 7.5, you know, over the 7 kilowatt system, just make it an 8. That's the size of the system. That's how you know what size to create a proposal. And with an 8 kilowatt system, here's a fast way to to calculate this commission. 8 kilowatt system. You want to sell it $2.55 for Redline. I'm gonna sell it at $3, $3.05, right? And make it 50 cents. 50 cents times what? 50 cents times 8,000. $4,000 will be your commission. So when you're looking at that individual, remember to see 4,000 on the forehead.
Or you cut it down, run to.
And then you start selling it. Okay, if you haven't reached 160 hours yet, you're in good shape. You'll probably leave that house in an hour, and you could have sold, and you could have made $4,000. Okay, so I mean, I think it's.
How do you calculate the people that have the lifeline, the medical baseline?
Oh, the medical baseline, lifeline, care credit, all that stuff has nothing to do with the kilowatt usage. That's just, you know, their bill is $200, oh, minus 10 for that, minus 10 for that, the dollar sign has nothing to do with the kilowatts. Yeah, so it's not the dollar sign, it's the dollars, it's the kilowatt a day, it's only the KW kilowatts. I'll show you guys all that. Okay? Anyone has, I don't want to keep you any longer, do you have anything you want to say? Okay. Anybody else?
When is the best time or
Ooh.
during the day?
Yes.
Or
All right, when is the best time to meet? During the day or the evening? You guys want to put it in the comments? When is the best time if you want? Is the evening horrible? Okay, thumbs up for evening. Okay, 1 is up for evening. Rain is up for evening. Well, we have 3 sales reps that are out today, and I'll have to get their vote as well. So we got 2 for evening. You guys, evening or?
This is my first. Well, I don't know.
Oh, we're trying to get, meat and Turlock.
Yeah, because most people are older than
Yeah, I'm trying, I'm trying to get someone we can borrow an office.
Saturday we can do, yeah, we can do a Saturday afternoon. My husband is working on getting an office available to us in Turlock. And so we will meet there and have sales meetings when we can in the Turlock office. So we'll keep you posted on that when that comes available. Other than that, is there, what was we talking about just a second ago? Oh, I slipped my mind. I had something in my head and it slipped my mind. So whatever you guys need to get that one sale in September. Try to get one sale in September. Let me know what I need to do. The flea market booths are gonna be set up. Our tablecloth will be coming in 2 weeks. So we're gonna have some fun out there on a Saturday. It's cooling down, so it's gonna be nice. So we're gonna have all of that as well. But text me, or text my husband, text Raina. As a matter of fact, share all your information with each other. We'll get a group text out and then share all of your information with each other. Some of the sales reps are Spanish. You know, if you've got a customer that's Spanish, give it to a Spanish sales rep to make that communication call with them and all of that. I didn't see our transaction coordinator jump on. I'm not sure if she's here. I wanted you to introduce you to my sister-in-law. I don't see her on. But anyways, transaction coordinator, if all of those numbers gets complicated for you, she is going to be trained to give you the best commissions, the lowest price with the best options. So she's going to do all that work behind the scenes and then give you the plan so that you can then share it with your customer. She's charged, that charge that we have for a coordinator is $250, and that's optional. You don't have to do it. It's optional, but trust me, if you want to go out back into the field and sell and not worry about that, she'll send all the agreements, documents, and everything that needs to be set up and designed, and you don't have to worry about that, and she will do it excellent. So, okay, guys, I am going to log off here.